All right. Raise your hand if you've ever heard a dentist say, I just need someone up front to answer the phones and book appointments. It's not rocket science.
I am definitely metaphorically keeping my hands firmly in my pockets because I hate that sentence. I've experienced this firsthand. And honestly, for someone not properly trained for that role, it does feel like rocket science.
I hear it about once a week, usually right before they show me a balance sheet that looks like it's bleeding out.
Welcome back to the Dental C-Suite. I'm Kyle Hamilton from the Dental Marketing Company, joined as always by Jess Beretti of Modern HR Solutions and Charlie Beaulieu of Title Accounting. Today, we are defending the honor of the most undervalued, overworked, and misunderstood person in your office.
The front desk.
Or, as I like to call them, the director of cash flow.
We are going to talk about why your marketing budget is burning a hole in your pocket if this role isn't dialed in.
We're going to discuss why they are burning out faster than you can hire them.
And I'm going to terrify you with how much money you're losing because of simple coding errors and forgotten insurance claims and poor systems.
Charlie, always bringing the sunshine. But seriously, this isn't just about answering phones. It's about the person who controls your pipeline. So let's get into it.
So, yeah, let's start, with the title itself, receptionist. And I think we're going to kind of look at this from the angle of we'll call it the clinic quarterback. So, the title receptionist, it sounds passive. It sounds like someone who just receives things, but in reality, that person is truly the clinic quarterback.
As in, like, they're the one calling all the plays?
Yeah, well, sort of. We'll say sort of, but yes, sort of. Yeah, they they manage the clock, they manage the flow, and they manage the emotions of everyone in the building. Really, they sit at the crossroads of people, time, and money.
And yet, when I look at payroll, they are often the lowest paid person in the room.
Exactly, and that's because we hire for the wrong skill set. I see dentists hiring for admin skills. Can they type? Do they know how to use Excel?
But you think it should be?
So much more than that. Emotional intelligence, confidence, resilience. You can teach someone how to use Dentrix, easy enough, but you can't necessarily teach someone how to de escalate a terrified patient who is yelling because their insurance didn't cover the crown or the bridge or the root canal that they just had done.
That's a good point. I've noticed the front desk takes the brunt of the abuse.
Yeah, and it's brutal, Charlie. I've seen it firsthand and I do see it still. Um Dentistry is uncomfortable. Patients are anxious. That's just the nature of the business. They don't yell at the guy with the drill in their mouth, but they do feel comfortable yelling at the nice person that's sitting behind the front desk.
They kind of become the emotional punching bag.
Yeah, 100%. If you don't support them, yes. And that's why burnout is one reason why burnout is so high. We see clinics where the clinical team is stable, but the front desk is a revolving door. And that's not necessarily a people problem, that's a systems problem. So you're asking them to maximize the schedule, chase money, and play therapist all at the same time, often with no backup whatsoever.
Responsibility without authority.
Yeah, 100%. So if you want a quarterback, you have to coach them like one. You can't just throw them on the field and say, good luck, don't get tackled, have fun.
Yeah, that's something that needs to be dealt with. Okay, Charlie, Jess is talking about the emotional toll, but you mentioned bleeding out earlier. How much financial damage can a poorly trained front desk person actually do to your business?
The unfortunate reality is it can actually sink a practice. And I'm not just meaning slightly less profitable. I mean sink a practice. Yeah.
Are you saying, is it just empty chairs?
Empty chairs are the obvious one. Inefficient scheduling is bad for business. But the silent killer on the receptionist admin side is rescheduling patients. And then on top of that, billing and insurance errors.
Can you give us a few examples?
Yeah, simple scenario. Patient comes in for procedure. The front desk is overwhelmed. The phone is ringing. A hygienist is also asking a question about their next patient. The patient walks out the door without any future appointment booked, and in the confusion of their checkout, the recare due date is also missed, meaning the future reporting could let this also slip through the cracks. Not to mention, the billing wasn't updated to match what was done in the procedure, missed unit of scaling added, and the patient was charged for fluoride when they declined it.
And that happens, right?
It happens constantly. And here's the kicker. If you don't catch that within a certain window, that patient and future revenue can be nearly impossible to recover. Multiply this over the course of weeks, months, and even sometimes years, and your new patient numbers and AR are out of control, and you look like a startup practice.
Ouch.
It compounds. I see practices with massive accounts receivable balances, huge recall lists. It's just money sitting there that nobody has followed up on because the front desk is too busy answering phones or not comfortable having some of those difficult conversations.
I've got a quick question for you, Charlie. Do you see a tangible difference in the profit and loss between clinics that invest in administrative training versus those that simply don't?
Subjectively, yes. You can always see the difference in this, and quite honestly, you can see a difference in this in the way the dentist acts. Offices with better trained staff, the dentist is a lot more calm. Offices where things aren't going right, the dentist is a lot more high strung, a lot more stressed, and that is typically quite visible on a dentist's face. The clinics with trained quarterbacks, as you coined, Jessica, oftentimes have much lower AR, so in turn, higher cash flow. They have fewer write offs because things are actually getting billed appropriately and collected properly. And the big thing, better recall systems.
Recall is your future revenue.
Exactly. And if the front desk isn't trained to confidently book the patient before they leave the office, not the next day, not next week, before they leave the office, you're chasing them forever. A well-trained admin team secures next year's revenue. A poorly trained one hopes the phone rings tomorrow. Well-trained offices are scheduling next month's revenue while your dentist is working on this month's revenue.
So, Kyle, Charlie says they secure the revenue. You always say marketing brings people to the door. So, where would you say the disconnect is?
The disconnect is typically the front desk is your marketing team. Most dentists are terrified to admit that, but that's the truth. I often tell people, my job is to bring you the leads, bring you the potential new patients. It's your job to convert them from inquiry into revenue.
Because dentists hate the word sales.
Yeah, I mean, most people do. Most people treat it like a dirty word. But listen, I can build the best Google Ads campaign in the world. I can drive 100 phone calls a month to your office. But if the person answering that phone or replying to email comes across as stressed, indifferent, or God forbid, just puts them on hold for 10 minutes,
That lead is dead then, right?
dead. You just lit that ad spend on fire and threw it in the wind. You can spend as much money as you want, but if you don't have the next part of your sales funnel, that conversion part dialed, then yeah, what's the point? Your front desk really controls your booking rate. They're the ones who control that pipeline for you.
Kyle, I've seen and heard about these AI agents like the robot receptionists. Is that a good way to save money on payroll?
Um, I say this with caution. You need to tread carefully on this one.
I can kind of see the HR nightmare already, the whole they're replacing me with a robot. And I have seen this in certain clinics, and I've seen it sort of work and sort of not work. So yeah, I'm curious about this
Ex-
cycle.
Yeah, it's it's the front edge. We're at the front edge of this technology. There's risks, there's rewards. It can kill morale in your clinic, but also the key thing to remember here is you're an independent clinic. Your value proposition is really that you aren't a corporate dental factory. You are trading a lot on the personal, the local, those one-on-one interactions. So, yeah,
And nothing says personal like chatting with a chatbot named Steve.
exactly. Um, if I call a local clinic and I'm getting a robot, you can almost bet I'm going to hang up.
Instantly.
Yeah, the front desk has the power to turn a negative into a positive here. They're the ones who are going to build that relationship for you. Robots just can't do that yet.
Yet
Mm,
being the key
mm.
word.
Maybe, yeah.
I kind of have a question for you, Kyle, but it might also be for Charlie. Um, how often do owners actually look at patient churn or lifetime value, really?
In my experience, almost never. They do it startup phase when they're going to the bank and looking for funding, and they say that if I bring in 100 patients and their lifetime value is $2,500 each, that's a lot of money. So I'm good for the money. But after that time, they don't ever look at it again. Guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, some of these things are vanity metrics, and that drives me crazy. Uh, the goal of your marketing isn't just bringing new bodies. We're talking about lifetime value, um, that can make or break a clinic and any business really. But your front desk is arguably one of the key drivers of that lifetime value. If they're making the patient feel welcome, that patient could stay for 5, 10, 15 years. If they're cold, very transactional, that patient's probably leaving after a simple cleaning.
And it is infinitely cheaper to keep a patient than find a new one. I'll tell you that.
Exactly, yeah. Um, you know, Churn is expensive for any business. It's a lot easier to sell to somebody who's already bought from you than to try and uh, convince somebody new to come and buy from you. So, your front desk, if your front desk isn't trained in soft sales, which essentially is really good service, you're just a hamster wheel of constantly having to replace patients who left because they didn't feel cared for.
I mean, that makes sense, right? It seems pretty simple when you lay it out like that. Yeah. Um, okay, so this whole thing has been, our topic today has been fairly heavy. We've established that, the front desk is taking abuse, losing money if they aren't properly trained, and really tanking your marketing if they aren't converting properly.
Yeah, but like in other past episodes, all of this is fixable.
It starts with respect. Stop calling it just admin.
And please stop dumping everything on them. Please. If you want a quarterback, give them an offensive line. Give them the support that they actually need.
And training. Jess, you asked me earlier about resources for training front desk to be better salespeople.
Yeah. Yes. Training. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, it's it's not always about the always be closing mantra, um, and it's not about scripts that feel like scripts, but it's about how do you guide your team? How do you create these frameworks to work in? It's about active listening. We actually we put together a list of kind of five phone scripts that convert. Some simple ways that you can start training your team to phrase things that are going to make patients feel heard rather than just being sold to.
Can we put that in the show notes?
Obviously, it's going to be in the show notes right now, just down below.
So, my takeaway from this whole thing, this whole conversation today is look at your front desk tomorrow. And ask yourself, have I given them the tools to win, or am I just hoping they survive?
And check your accounts receivable. If it's high, don't blame them. Train them.
Love it, guys. The front desk really is the heartbeat of your practice, so treat them like it. Thank you all for listening to the Dental C-Suite, and we'll see you next time.